Hello friends, welcome to the another video on human skeletal system. In case you find the videos useful, please like, share and subscribe the channel, and every day new videos are being added, so please also press the bell icon. In this video we are going to talk about the second component of axial skeleton, that is the vertebral column. In previous video we talked about the first component of axial skeleton, that was skull. In this video we will talk about now the vertebral column. Please stay with me till the end of the lecture. Now as far as this vertebral column is concerned, vertebral column is formed of serially arranged bones called as vertebrae. The serially arranged bones that make our vertebral column are called as the vertebrae. Now, the number of the vertebrae present in our vertebral column is 26. So, our vertebral column is formed of 26 vertebrae. And these 26 vertebrae are formed by the fusion of 33 vertebrae in the fetus. So there are 33 vertebrae, and these 33 vertebrae some of these vertebrae will fuse to result in 26 vertebrae in case of the adults. Now as far as our vertebral column is concerned, our vertebral column is not a straight chain of the vertebrae, but rather it has 4 types of the curves. So this is the vertebral column. This is on the extreme left we will see the ventral view of the vertebral column. Then in the middle is the dorsal view of the vertebral column, and towards the extreme right is the lateral view of the vertebral column. So in the lateral view you can see that the vertebral column is not a straight chain of vertebrae, rather it has the bends or it has curves. 4 types of curves are found in the vertebral column of the adults. These curves are: number 1, the first curve is present in the neck region. This curve is called as the cervical curve. So this is the cervical curve. Another curve is found in the thoracic region, and this curve is called as therefore the thoracic curve. So this will be the thoracic curve. The third curve or bend is found near the lumbar region. That curve is therefore called as the lumbar curve. And the final and the last curve is found in the sacral region, and this region is this curve is called as the pelvic curve. So our vertebral column has now the 4 types of the curves: cervical, thoracic, lumbar and the pelvic curve. Out of these 4 curves, the 2 curves are present right from the birth. Human baby is born with only 2 types of the curves. 2 curves develop after birth. The 2 curves that are present right from the birth are called as the primary curves. For example, the thoracic curve is the primary curve because it is present right from the birth, as well as the pelvic curve. Pelvic curve is also present right from the birth. So these 2 curves are called as the primary curves. While as the cervical curve and lumbar curve develops later after the birth of the child, when the child begins to stand and walk. So these 2 types of curves which develop later in life, they are called as the secondary curves. So cervical curve is a secondary curve as well as the lumbar curve. Lumbar and the cervical curves are called as the secondary curves. Now these secondary curves develop because of the bipedal locomotion. These curves ensure that the center of gravity remains in the pelvic portion, and we are able to perform the bipedal locomotion. Therefore, in case of the quadrupeds who walk on all 4 limbs, their secondary curves will be absent. So quadrupeds have only primary curves. So they will have only primary curves. Secondary curves are absent. Secondary curves are absent in the animals that walk on all of their 4 limbs, or the quadrupeds. Those animals who walk on all 4 limbs, they have only the primary curves. Secondary curves will be absent in them. Now as far as our vertebral column is concerned, vertebral column, as I mentioned, is formed of the 26 serially arranged bones called as the vertebrae. Now if we see a generalized structure of a vertebra, it has the following structure. So a typical vertebra has the following structure. Here is the diagram of a typical vertebra. So a typical vertebra is formed of a solid part. It has a solid part. This solid part of the vertebra is called as the centrum. So this portion which I am highlighting, this part of the vertebra, vertebra is a singular, vertebrae is the plural of the several vertebrae together. So here this part of a typical vertebra is called as the centrum. So this is the centrum. Centrum part of the vertebra is the solid part, and this part of the vertebra is formed from the notochord. So it develops from the, it is the solid part, it is number one the solid part, and it develops from the notochord of the embryo. Notochord of embryo, number one. Apart from this, the typical vertebra also has above this centrum, there is present a canal. That canal is called as a neural canal. This neural canal is the canal through which spinal cord passes. Spinal cord passes through this neural canal. So each vertebra has above its centrum a canal, and this canal, which I am highlighting this time, is called as the neural canal. So this is the neural canal. Neural canal. Neural canal. Apart from neural canal, there are present several processes. A typical vertebra has 7 processes surrounding this neural canal. So these processes include, number one, a medially placed neural spine. This is a spine-like structure called as a neural spine. So here is the neural spine. This is medially placed. Other processes that are present in the typical vertebra are bilaterally arranged. Now these include, number one, these include one pair of superior zygapophyses. So this is here the superior zygapophyses. Superior zygapophyses, one will be on the right side, another will be on the left side. Similarly, there is also present one pair of the inferior zygapophyses. So this is this one. This is the inferior zygapophyses. And finally, we have one pair of the transverse processes. So here is the one pair of transverse processes, one along the right side and another along the left side. So these 3 processes are bilaterally arranged. So these are called as this is the transverse process. So each typical vertebra has now the 7 processes surrounding the neural canal, and it has a solid part which is called as centrum. So this is the top view of a typical vertebra. If we will observe the same vertebra in its lateral direction, it will have the following appearance. So this is the lateral view of the same vertebra. So this is the lateral view. So I will shift it here. So this, if we see a vertebra on the sides or the lateral view of the typical vertebra, we will see that the centrum of each typical vertebra is flat. It is flat on the upper side as well as flat on the lower side. So it is upper end here, upper end as well as lower end of each centrum of the vertebra is flat. Such a type of vertebra is called as amphipalatine vertebra. So we mammals have amphipalatine vertebrae. Amphipalatine means that both the surfaces of the centrum of our vertebrae are flat. So this type of vertebra is called as amphipalatine vertebra. So amphipalatine means both ends of the centrum are flat. And the other processes are as follows. For example, this process here is the superior zygapophyses. This will be the superior zygapophyses. Superior zygapophyses, right? And this process here is the transverse process. One of the transverse process will be towards the paper. One will be facing outside the paper. So this one will be one of the transverse processes. This is therefore transverse process. Transverse process. This is the transverse process. And this here is the lower one. This here is the neural spine. So this is the neural spine. This is neural spine. And the process below this one is the inferior zygapophyses. Inferior zygapophyses. So when we observe a vertebra laterally, it will have the following arrangement of the processes and the centrum. Now, as far as this vertebra are concerned, centrum of each different vertebrae are placed one above another. So, as I mentioned in the beginning of the lecture, that our vertebral column is formed of serially arranged vertebrae. Therefore, the vertebrae will be placed one above another along by their centrum. So, for example, here will be another vertebra, just like this. Here will be another vertebra. Suppose this is the centrum of the another vertebra, and in between the centrum of two adjacent vertebrae, there is present a fibrous cartilage that is called as intervertebral disc. So, intervertebral disc is actually a fibrous cartilage that is present between the centrum of two adjacent vertebrae. So, this is called as the intervertebral disc. And what is intervertebral disc? Intervertebral disc is a type of fibrous cartilage, white fibrous cartilage. This is called as intervertebral disc. Intervertebral disc. It is formed of the white fibrous cartilage, right? And this superior zygapophysis of one vertebra articulates with the inferior zygapophysis of the another vertebra. For example, in this case, the inferior zygapophysis of the upper vertebra will articulate with the superior zygapophysis of the vertebra below it and form a type of the joint called as gliding joint, and joint that we will discuss in the joints video of this lecture series. So this was about the structure of a typical vertebra. So I will summarize one more time the structure of typical vertebra. A typical vertebra, I have mentioned, is formed of a centrum. It has a neural canal, and it has 7 processes. Among these 7 processes, 3 are paired, bilaterally arranged, like superior zygapophysis, inferior zygapophysis, and transverse process. These are paired, and there is one unpaired neural spine that is present at the center.
Now our vertebral column is formed of the 4 types of the vertebrae. These 4 types of the vertebrae are named after their position in the body. For example, our vertebral column is formed of 4 types of the vertebrae, and the number and arrangement of these vertebrae can be represented by a formula called as the vertebral formula. So vertebral formula is the formula that will represent the type and the number of our vertebrae present in our vertebral column. So that will be called as the vertebral formula. Vertebral formula for human vertebral column is as follows. So it is represented as C7, T12, L5, S1, which is formed by the fusion of actually 5 bones, and CO, that is formed by the fusion of the 4 vertebrae. So this will equal to a total of the 26 vertebrae. Now this here C represent is the cervical vertebrae. Cervical vertebrae are those vertebrae which are present in our neck part region. Then we have number second T. T represent is the thoracic vertebrae. So this represent is the thoracic vertebrae. L here represent is the lumbar vertebrae. S represent is the sacrum. It is formed by the fusion of 5 vertebrae. 5 sacral vertebrae fuse to form a common vertebra which is called as the sacrum. And finally 4 coccygeal vertebrae, they fuse to form a single vertebra which is called as coccyx. That is called as coccyx. So this is total of the 26 cervical vertebrae. Now each of these total of the 26 vertebrae present in our vertebral column. Now each of these vertebrae has some unique modifications as that of a typical vertebra. So let us talk about them one by one. So let us first talk about the cervical vertebrae. So first of all, we will take now the cervical vertebrae. Now cervical vertebrae are those vertebrae which are present in our neck. Cervical vertebrae are the vertebrae of neck. Our neck is formed of 7 cervical vertebrae. The number of the cervical vertebrae is constant. Number of cervical vertebrae is constant in all mammals. Which means that all mammals have the 7 number of the cervical vertebrae. All mammals are, the neck of all mammals is formed of only 7 cervical vertebrae. There are exceptions, I will be telling those. Be it a mouse or the giraffe or the whale or the platypus. All mammals have 7 cervical vertebrae in their neck. Now exception to this is, you can note the exceptions. Exception to this number are, number 1, exceptions. So exceptions include number 1, the sloths. So two-toed sloth, for example, it has the number of cervical vertebrae in its neck ranges from 5 to 7. So there can be even 6 vertebrae or even 5 vertebrae in its neck. Similarly, another exception to it is that of the manatee. Manatee is also called as the sea cow. So this manatee or the sea cow, the number of cervical does not have neck, and it is the number of cervical vertebrae in it is only 6. It has only 6 cervical vertebrae instead of 7. Similarly, there is one more exception to it, that is the three-toed sloths. Three-toed sloths have additional vertebrae instead of 7 cervical vertebrae. The number of the cervical vertebrae in them can be 8 or 9. So they may have 8 or 9 cervical vertebrae in their neck. Apart from these 3 exceptions, all mammals except these 3 mammals have 7 cervical vertebrae in their neck, and this is the characteristic feature of all the mammals. Now, as far as the cervical vertebrae is concerned, out of the 7 cervical vertebrae, the 4 vertebrae are called as typical vertebrae. So, cervical vertebrae are divided into 2 categories. First vertebra, a category of vertebrae are called as the typical vertebrae. So, these will be having the typical features of that of a cervical vertebra. So, those are therefore called as typical cervical vertebrae. And second type of the cervical vertebrae are called as atypical cervical vertebrae. Typical cervical vertebrae include, number 1, they include vertebra, 3rd cervical vertebrae up to 6th cervical vertebrae. That is 3rd cervical vertebra, 4th cervical vertebra, 5th and 6th cervical vertebra. Those will be having typical features, and therefore they will be called as the typical cervical vertebrae. While as 1st, 2nd and 7th, 1st cervical vertebra, 2nd cervical vertebra and the 7th cervical vertebra, they are having some unique features and are therefore called as atypical cervical vertebrae. As well as the cervical vertebrae are concerned, each cervical vertebra has, as far as typical cervical vertebra are concerned, each typical cervical vertebra has bifid supinous process. The supinous process in case of this typical cervical vertebra will be bifid. So, instead of having a supine, the supinous process will be having a bifid shape, and this type of supine is called as the bifid supine. So, the supinous process of the typical cervical vertebra is bifid. So, first point we will write that typical vertebra have bifid supinous process. So, they will be having bifid supinal process, number 1. Number 2, the transverse processes of the typical cervical vertebra has apertures. Those apertures are called as transvarium. These apertures are meant for the passage of blood vessels from heart to the head and vice versa. So, the transverse processes of these vertebrae, typical cervical vertebrae, have apertures, and those apertures are called as transversarium. Those apertures are called as the transversarium. Those will be called as transversarium. These transversarium are responsible for the passage of blood vessels from heart to the head and vice versa. Now, as far as the atypical vertebrae are concerned, atypical vertebrae have some unique features. For example, the first atypical vertebra, that is the first cervical vertebra, that is called as the atlas. So, first cervical vertebra, which is also an atypical cervical vertebra, this first cervical vertebra is given a supaspic name. It is named as the atlas. Atlas is the first cervical vertebra. Now, this atlas cervical vertebra is ring shaped. The unique features of this vertebra include that it is ring-shaped. It is ring-shaped. Number one. Number second, it has no centrum. Centrum is absent in case of atlas. There is no centrum. Number third unique feature of this atlas is that it also lacks any supinous process. There is no supinous process. It doesn't have any supinous process. And you will see that this first atlas has the facets for articulating with the occipital condyles of the what is called as the occipital bone of the skull. So it has the facets. It has facets for articulating with the occipital condyles of occipital bone. So occipital bone has two occipital condyles, as I have mentioned in the sickle, bones of the sickle. Our sickle is dicondylic. Our sickle has two occipital condyles, and those occipital condyles, they articulate with the concavities present in this first cervical vertebrae called as facets. Now these facets will allow for the nodding movements of the head, and therefore this atlas is also called as yes bone. So when we make up and down movements of the head, at that time our occipital bone is articulating with the first vertebra of our neck, that is the atlas, and therefore that reason atlas bone is also commonly called as the yes bone. So atlas is also called as the yes bone. This is called as yes bone. Very important point to be noted. It is also called as the yes bone. So here I will show you now the image of this bone. So here is the diagram of the first cervical vertebra, that is atlas. Now as you can see that this atlas has no centrum, there is no centrum, and there is no supinous process in other processes. And in case of a living state, when this atlas bone has a ligament which is called as transverse ligament. So in the living state, the cavity, the central cavity within this ring-like vertebra is divided into two chambers by a ligament which is called as the transverse ligament. So this ligament, this here structure which is in the green is the transverse ligament. So it divides this cavity of this ring-shaped what is cervical vertebra into two processes. One that is present below is called as the odontoid fossa. Odontoid fossa. So odontoid fossa is responsible for articulating with the odontoid process of the neck cervical vertebra. And the process above it, so this is let me highlight this one. So this will be the odontoid fossa. This is the odontoid fossa. This lower one, lower cavity here, this is called as the odontoid fossa. While as the cavity above it will be called as, this cavity is the neural canal. So this is the neural canal through which spinal cord will pass. So this is the neural canal. This is the neural canal. Every vertebra has this. So including this atlas vertebra. This is the neural canal. Apart from these, there are present this transverse process. You can see this is the transverse process. This is here transverse process. There are two transverse processes, one on left side, another on right side. And in the transverse process, there is this aperture. So here this is aperture. Let me highlight this one. So this aperture, these apertures. This aperture is called as the transversarium. So this is the transversarium through which blood vessels will pass. Transversarium. So this is the shape of a typical cervical vertebra. First atypical cervical vertebra, that is the atlas. Now let us see the structure of the second cervical vertebra. As well as second cervical vertebra is concerned, it is also the atypical vertebra. So like this first cervical vertebra, which was atypical cervical vertebra, second cervical vertebra is also atypical cervical vertebra. So let us talk about that now. So second cervical vertebra, this second cervical vertebra is also known as axis. So second cervical vertebra is also called as axis. Axis is the second cervical vertebra. Like the first cervical vertebra, it has also some modifications. And as far as its modifications are concerned, let us have a look at its diagram. So I will show you the modifications of this vertebra in the diagram. Here is the diagram of the second cervical vertebra, that is axis. So this is the diagram of axis. As far as this axis is concerned, this is the upside down model of axis. I have drawn this upside down. This is the centrum of this vertebra. This is the centrum of this vertebra. And from the unique feature of this vertebra is that from the centrum emerges a process, a peg-like process. This peg-like process is called as the demis or the odontoid process. So you can see here, this is this process here. I am highlighting this time. This process here that arises from the centrum of the second cervical vertebra. This is the centrum. From it arises a process. This process is called as the odontoid. It is called as odontoid process. This is called as odontoid process, right? And apart from this, there are the usual processes. These will be the this is the transverse process. This is the transverse process, one on one side, another on another side. This here in the middle is the neural canal. So this is the neural canal. This here is the neural canal. This is the neural canal. This is neural canal, and this is the bifid supinous process. You can see bifid supinous process. Now this odontoid process of this atlas, it articulates with the odontoid fossa of the axis. So here in the image above this image, this is the image of the atlas, you had seen that there was present this odontoid fossa. Now odontoid fossa, this will fit in the odontoid process of the axis like a peg and ring. So suppose this odontoid fossa, this represents or odontoid process represents the peg, while as the odontoid fossa represents the ring. So they will form a type of joint which will be called as a pivot joint. So either ring is rotating, a ring is moving and the peg is stationary, or the peg is moving and the ring is stationary. So they will form a pivot like joint, and that will allow the sideways movement of our head. So for this reason, the axis bone is also called as the no bone. So axis bone, axis cervical vertebra is also called as the no bone. So it allows for the sideways movement of our head. Therefore, this is commonly called as the no bone. No bone. Atlas was called as yes bone, while as axis is called as the no bone. Please take a note of this point as well. So this was about the second atypical cervical vertebra. Now we will talk about the third atypical cervical vertebra. Third atypical cervical vertebra is in fact the last cervical vertebra. Last cervical vertebra is the seventh cervical vertebra. Seventh cervical vertebra is the largest of all the cervical vertebrae. So seventh cervical vertebra, this seventh cervical vertebra, it is the largest of all cervical vertebrae, of all cervical vertebrae. This cervical vertebra, the last cervical vertebra, is also called as the vertebra prominens. Seventh cervical vertebra is commonly called as, it is often also called as the vertebra prominens. Vertebra prominens. This vertebra prominens, in case of this vertebra, it doesn't have the bifid supinal process. Rest of the unique feature of this seventh cervical vertebra is that it lacks the bifid supinous process. Instead, the supinous process ends in a bulb-like structure called as the tubercle. So I will show this here. So here you will see that in case of this vertebra, supinal process is not bifid. So there is no bifid supinous process, but the process ends in a bulb-like structure like the tubercle, called as the tubercle. So here the supinous process, if I have to show this diagrammatically, so this is the supinous process. The supinous process, instead of being pointed, it will end in a tubercle. So this is the unique feature of the seventh cervical vertebra and is also called as the vertebra prominens. Another unique feature of this vertebra is that it lacks the transversarium. Transversarium or apertures that were present in the transverse processes, they are absent. So transversarium is also absent. There are no apertures in the transverse process of the vertebra prominens or atypical seventh cervical vertebra. So this was about the cervical vertebra. Now let us talk about the other vertebrae. The second type of the vertebrae that is present in our case are the thoracic vertebrae. Now thoracic vertebrae are those vertebrae which are present in our thorax. we have 12 thoracic vertebrae. So we have 12 thoracic vertebrae. And these 12 thoracic vertebrae will have the typical structure as that of a typical vertebra. It will be having centrum and 7 processes. But apart from those processes, here we will find that in case of the thoracic vertebrae, there is additionally 1 pair of facets for articulating with the ribs. So each thoracic vertebra articulates with a pair of the ribs for which it has the articulating facets. So apart from the typical structures present in a typical vertebra, the thoracic vertebrae have facets. Facets means the articulating regions. Facets to articulate with ribs. We know we have 12 pairs of the ribs, and these 12 pairs of the ribs, they articulate with the vertebral column towards the dorsal side, and towards the ventral side they are either attached to the sternum or with the vertebra, other ribs. So therefore the thoracic vertebrae for that reason have facets for articulating with ribs. And each, we will note this point as well, that each thoracic vertebra articulates with 2 ribs, one on the one side and another on the another side. So each thoracic vertebrae will be connected with the two ribs, right? So this was about the thoracic vertebrae. Then we have the third type of the vertebra. Those are called as the lumbar vertebrae. Lumbar vertebrae are those vertebrae. This is the third type of the vertebra called as the lumbar vertebrae. Lumbar vertebrae are 5 in number. We have 5 lumbar vertebrae. So we have 5 lumbar vertebrae. These vertebrae are present in the lower lower back, and these vertebrae have large and heavy centrum, and they have the processes are comparatively short. So these will be having all the processes, all the typical structures of a vertebra. But here, in case of lumbar vertebrae, they will be having comparatively large and heavy centrum, number 1. And number 2 unique feature of these vertebrae is that their processes will be comparatively shorter. So processes are comparatively short. So they will have short processes. So this was about the lumbar vertebrae. Now finally we have the sacral vertebra, the fourth type of the vertebra. Fourth type of the vertebra is called as the sacral vertebra. Sacral vertebrae, we have 5 sacral vertebrae. 5 sacral vertebrae, they actually fuse. 5 sacral vertebrae fuse to form a common vertebra called as sacrum. So sacrum is in fact the name of a 5 fused sacral vertebrae. So we have only one sacrum, which is formed by the fusion of the 5 sacral vertebrae, right? And finally we have the coccygeal vertebrae. Coccygeal vertebrae, in fact we have 4 coccygeal vertebrae, and these 4 coccygeal vertebrae, they will again fuse to form a single vertebra, called as coccyx. So coccyx is the term that is used for the fused coccygeal vertebrae. Now together the sacrum and the coccyx, that forms a triangular shape that forms the back of our pelvis or pelvic girdle. So here I will show this, it is image. Here is this our sacrum and coccyx, and this part here, the part that I will highlight in yellow, this is formed by the fusion of the 5 sacral vertebrae. So this will be called as a sacrum. So the portion that is highlighted in this image or in this diagram represents the sacrum, and this sacrum is actually formed by the fusion of the 5 sacral vertebrae. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. 5 sacral vertebrae, they fuse and form a common structure which is called as the sacrum. Similarly, this coccyx is formed by the fusion of the 4 coccygeal vertebrae. 4 coccygeal vertebrae, this is number 1, 2, 3 and 4. 4 coccygeal vertebrae will fuse and they will result in formation of a common structure. That common structure is called as the coccyx. This is called as coccyx. So we have seen that our vertebral column is formed of the 26 serially arranged bones, which are called as which are serially arranged and are called as a vertebrae, and our vertebral column is represented by a formula called as the vertebral formula. So in next video we will take now the third component of the axial skeleton, that will be the rib cage. So see you in the next video.